Hey everyone, Ethan Nader here with Horizon Hobby and Spektrum, and with the recent expansion firmware update that is found on the current lineup of Spektrum Air transmitters, there are a ton of added benefits. And the biggest one that is found on almost all of the current Spektrum Air transmitters is the increased channel count. Now, for those of you who are new to the Spektrum ecosystem, maybe looking to get your first Spektrum Air computer transmitter, might be looking at these three options, or is most likely looking at these three options, because these transmitters that you see here, the NX7E Plus, the NX8 Plus, and also the NX10, are going to be the three best choices in terms of performance, but also affordability. So these are going to be the best bang for your buck, and essentially you might have it narrowed down to these three transmitters. And with that being said, it might be hard to determine which one is going to be right for you. So I'm going to be comparing the key differences between these three air transmitters, because there might be some confusion, especially with these two, the NX8 Plus and the NX10, because they look identical. They're both 20-channel transmitters, but there might be some justification as to why you want the NX10 over the NX8 Plus, and we're going to be diving into that specifically, and also why you might want the NX8 Plus or why you might want the NX7E Plus. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the differences, or the key differences, between the NX7E Plus and the NX8 Plus, and why you might want one over the other. So let's say you've narrowed down your decision to the NX7E Plus and the NX8 Plus. And let's say you have some bind and fly aircraft and some gas airplanes, or even helicopters, whatever you might want, that don't quite use all 14 channels that are found on the NX7E Plus. And you're thinking, well, if I'm not going to use all 14 channels on the NX7E Plus, why would I need a 20-channel transmitter? Why would I want to get the NX8 Plus over the NX7E Plus? Well, aside from the increased channel count, there are a couple features that you are going to see on the NX8 Plus that you won't get on the NX7E Plus. So the first thing that you're really going to see that is useful on the NX8 Plus is the fact that it has Wi-Fi capabilities. So that means that if you want to update your transmitter, so any future updates that come to the NX8 Plus, you can easily update it through Wi-Fi over the transmitter itself. Whereas the NX7E Plus, it's not going to have Wi-Fi capabilities. Now, that being said, it's still pretty easy to hook up the computer that you're going to use to update your transmitter to the transmitter itself. All it is a USB-C port on the back that you're going to plug into and install the firmware with, or you can use the micro SD card method. But again, it's not going to be the easiness and also the speed of updating over Wi-Fi, which the NX8 Plus is capable of. So just keep that in mind. Also, one of the biggest things that I noticed right away when using the NX7E Plus over the NX8 Plus is the screen size. So the NX7E Plus has a 2.8-inch screen, whereas the NX8 Plus has a 3.2-inch screen. And again, that doesn't sound like a lot, but once you are using the transmitters, you will quickly notice that, and it might be something that you opt to use. Maybe it's hard to read a smaller screen and you just want to utilize the biggest screen that you can. So that is where the NX8 Plus comes in handy between these two transmitters. One other thing that I noticed when just handling the transmitters themselves is that the NX8 Plus definitely feels better in the hand. You have those rubber grips on the sides, so you feel like you have a better hold on your transmitter, whereas the NX7E Plus, it feels great in the hand, but it doesn't feel like you have as tight of a grip. And for some people that are flying, dropping the transmitter is the last thing that you want to worry about. And maybe if you felt both and you see, okay, the NX8 Plus does feel better in the hand, I'm less likely to drop it, you might want to opt more towards that transmitter. And the last thing that is worth mentioning, and what might make someone want to choose the NX8 Plus over the NX7E Plus, is the audio alerts. So the NX8 Plus has voice audio alerts, so it can be very specific in terms of warning you. Maybe it'll specifically tell you that you have 1 minute remaining on your timer. Maybe it will give you a telemetry call out, and it will say exactly what that telemetry call out is. Maybe it's voltage, maybe it's how many amps you've pulled, that sort of thing. Whereas the NX7E Plus, it has audio alerts, but there's no voice alerts. So you'll hear a tone. So if you hear a tone, you might not know if it is your timer going off. Maybe it's saying that there's 2 minutes remaining. Maybe it's a telemetry audio alert. And that can ultimately lead to the pilot taking their eyes off the airplane, looking at the transmitter in order to see what exactly that audio alert was trying to tell you. And again, you don't have to really do that with the NX8 Plus because the audio alerts tell you exactly what you need to know. Now let's say that you've narrowed down your options to the NX8 Plus and the NX10, and you're looking at the transmitters and you're thinking, these things look identical. Why would I get the NX10 over the NX8 Plus whenever they're both 20-channel transmitters? Well, yes, they both are 20-channel transmitters, but there are a couple of benefits that you're gonna get with the NX10 over the NX8 Plus. The first benefit that you're going to get with the NX10 over the NX8 Plus is the battery life. The battery that's found in the NX10 is a lithium-ion 1S 6000 milliamp battery, whereas the battery that's in the NX8 Plus is a lithium-ion 1S 2200 milliamp battery. So the lifespan of the 6000 milliamp battery that's found in the NX10 is much bigger than the 2200 milliamp, and you're going to spend a lot more time flying with the NX10 than you are going to be charging it. Whereas the NX8 Plus, plenty of battery with the 2200 milliamp, but you might find yourself charging, or you will find yourself charging a lot more often. Not to mention that the 6000 milliamp battery is significantly heavier than the 2200 milliamp, so in the hand, the NX10 feels a little bit better with that added weight. Honestly, I personally like the added weight. It honestly just feels more like a quality transmitter. But again, the NX8 Plus is the same quality, great transmitter. It's just gonna feel a little bit lighter and therefore a little bit cheaper to some people. Now, with that being said, the next benefit that you're gonna get with the NX10, if you look on the back, is going to be the sliders. A couple of key reasons that I've seen people want to use the NX10 with the sliders over the NX8 Plus is the fact that the sliders can be hooked up for gain tuning. So let's say you have an AS3X or AS3X Plus receiver and you're trying to tune it on the fly. Those sliders can be used to increase or decrease your gyro gain if you want. You can also use the sliders for telemetry callouts, and also a common application that I've seen a lot of pilots use the sliders for are brakes on turbine jets. Another huge benefit with the NX10 over the NX8 Plus is the fact that the NX10 has Hall effect sensor gimbals, which are way less likely to wear out than non-Hall effect sensor gimbals. Now that being said, I have had the NX8, which is now updated to the NX8 Plus firmware for quite some time now. And with that being said, I have not had an issue, but it's a good peace of mind knowing that the Hall effect sensor gimbals on the NX10 are going to be lasting for the long run. And the last benefit of the NX10 applies to FPV pilots because the NX10 features a boosted voltage output for crossfire. So for those of you who have crossfire and are flying FPV, might want to opt to the NX10 over the NX8 Plus for that reason alone. All right, everyone, and that's going to cover it on the key differences between the NX7E Plus, NX8 Plus, and NX10. Again, I say these are great introductory transmitters, but with that being said, these are great transmitters for any RC pilot out there, especially for those of you who are new to the Spektrum ecosystem and are looking for the best bang for your buck. And again, thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully this helps you decide which of these three transmitters might be right for you. We'll see you all in the next one.